Have you ever walked into a familiar room and suddenly everything felt eerily unfamiliar? A photo with unrecognizable faces, a box you're afraid to open, and then a slip, a fall, all from keeping too many old, seemingly harmless things. When memory starts to get a bit shaky, those innocent seeming objects around us become silent traps. Traps of clutter, traps of lingering emotions, and sometimes traps of accidents. I met a woman in New Jersey, 76 years old. She lived alone. Her memory wasn't as sharp. One day she tripped over an old box left right by her bedroom door. Inside, just papers from 1984. She no longer knew its purpose, but kept it just in case, keeping it just in case, but it came at a price. After 60, decluttering isn't just a chore, it's a vital survival skill. It doesn't just help you find tidiness again. It's a way to protect your memory, maintain clarity, and live more lightly each day. Are you holding on to things you can't even name? Ever felt your familiar home now feels disorienting? This isn't your typical decluttering video. Instead, here are 7 strict but necessary principles to help you avoid regrets later. I know, letting go isn't easy, but misremembering or forgetting yourself is even harder. Ready? Let's begin. Principle number 1. Immediately toss items you don't remember why you're keeping. A box whose reason for existence you don't recall could be what makes you fall in the night and never wake up. I once had a wooden box in the corner of a closet for over 10 years. Every time I cleaned, I would look at it and then close it again. This is important. Keep it for later. But the thing was, I couldn't remember why I kept it. And strangely, that box seemed heavier each year. Not in actual weight, but because it held this vague sense. I was holding on to something I no longer understood. We older folks often keep things. An old card, a worn-out hat, a cord for some unknown device, all kept just in case. But the truth is, if you can't name it or recall its reason for being, it's no longer serving you. Neuroscience has shown cluttered living environments with many objects of unclear function significantly increase pressure on memory. For people over 60, especially with mild cognitive decline, keeping too many unknown objects can easily overload the brain, reducing the ability to orient and recall new information. I still remember Mrs. Doris from my apartment complex. Her room was always full of things, but when asked, she'd just shake her head. I don't remember who gave me this. Until she lost her balance and fell, people had to quickly clear out items in her room to place a hospital bed. Her daughter said through tears, "I wish Mom had let go sooner, so she could breathe easier, live easier." I've learned that letting go of an item of unknown origin is not forgetting, but making space for memories that truly need to exist, for clarity in the mind, for safety in the living space, and for lightness in the spirit. Today, if you open a drawer and find a strange item, unsure of its origin, be brave and put it in the trash bag. Say, "Thank you for your companionship. Now I let myself be lighter." Because memory also needs space to breathe. And you deserve a tidy, comfortable home where everything has a clear meaning. Principle number 2, do not keep pairs of items when living alone. I used to make tea for 2 people for 5 years after she passed away. Not because anyone would drink it, but because I couldn't bear to see a single cup. For a long time, I still kept 2 cups on the shelf, 2 spoons in the drawer, 2 pillows arranged neatly at the head of the bed. Even though I'd been living alone for nearly 7 years, even though no one used those items anymore, I didn't keep them for convenience. I kept them because I couldn't bear to part. Those paired items, once symbols of someone's presence, a spouse, a relative, an old friend. But gradually I realized those items no longer represented presence, but a lingering absence. Older people are very easily held back by unconscious habits. And those paired items, cups, towels, slippers, sometimes they are not just objects, but the unclosed chapters of memory. When living alone, seeing them daily doesn't make one warmer, but silently pulls memory to a place that easily stings. Research from the Alzheimer's Association shows Living in a space containing many reminder objects to deceased individuals or past relationships can prolong chronic sadness, interfere with memory, and increase the risk of mild depression, one factor contributing to accelerated cognitive decline. I once witnessed my neighbor, Mr. Robert, keep everything in his house unchanged from the day she passed. No one dared sit in her chair. Her cup was still washed, sun-dried each week. One day he quietly said, "I'm afraid if I clear them away, I'll truly feel I'm alone." But after a hospital stay for dizziness, his son came back and cleared out some belongings, making the house airier. And strangely, after that, he slept better. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means cherishing, then releasing. It is keeping what is needed and leaving a space just enough for something new to enter. If you're living alone, look around. Is there anything that's one too many? A cup, a pair of slippers, a chair. Keep one and put the other away as a thank you. Because when your living space reflects your current reality, your mind will also be lighter, clearer, and ready to move forward, albeit slowly, yet filled with serenity. Principle number 3, don't let objects block everyday pathways. A misplaced chair can make a memory stumble. The house I lived in over 30 years, once so familiar I could find the light switch with my eyes closed. Yet, just because of a chair temporarily placed in the hallway, I tripped and spent several weeks hospitalized. It seemed like a small thing, but for older people like us, a fall not only hurts a leg, it can derail an entire phase of life. We often have a habit of keeping many things: an old shelf, a stool for when needed, a box of items placed near the window. Gradually, these things block once clear paths, making each step feel precarious. Especially when memory starts to falter, reflexes are no longer quick. Research from the US CDC shows falls are the leading cause of serious injury and accidental death in people over 65. Particularly, the risk doubles in cramped, cluttered living spaces where pathways are blocked by unnecessary items. I still remember old Mrs. Sarah, who lived 3 houses away from me. She still moved around quite nimbly, but once in the kitchen, she tripped over an old basket of items left right beside the dining table. That fall not only broke her wrist, but also severely shattered her confidence. After that, she nearly dared not leave her room. And when one fears falling, life is very different, as if one shrinks. I understand one thing: preserving memory isn't just about brain exercises. It's also about keeping your feet safe to walk every day. Because when we have to be cautious every time we pass a doorway, the brain also tenses up, becoming more tired and more prone to confusion. Today, try standing at your bedroom door looking out. Is there anything in the pathway? A chair, a pile of old newspapers, an unstored basket of items. Clear it immediately, not for tidiness, but for your own clarity of mind tomorrow. Because when pathways are clear, the heart also brightens. And memory, too, has a chance to walk more steadily with you. Principle number 4, only keep papers that still have legal value. A stack of old papers can bury the very thing you need to remember most. I once had a drawer full of files: my children's birth certificates, utility bills from 1997, receipts from a supermarket that had closed down. Some papers I didn't even remember why I kept, but still, I couldn't bear to toss them, because who knows, I might need it later. Then one day when I needed to find my insurance booklet for the doctor, I rummaged all morning but couldn't find it. That feeling of confusion, irritation, then giving up. From a simple task, I felt utterly disoriented. We older adults often have a keep papers just in case mentality. But that just in case sometimes clutters memory, overloads the brain, and makes us lose composure when we need something truly important. According to a study by the National Institute on Aging, living in an environment with excessive information, especially paperwork, can overload the brain's processing, reducing the ability to organize and retrieve memory in people over 60. Especially when constantly having to distinguish what's needed from what's not, the brain gets tired and easily overlooks even the most vital information. I once helped old Mr. Jackson, an elderly friend, clear his paper cabinet. He had up to 11 small notebooks of jottings, but none were complete. After sorting, we kept only house deeds, birth certificates, insurance papers, and an emergency contact list. The rest was gathered and burned in the backyard. He sat silently, watching the flames, then sighed. Why didn't I do this sooner? I understood that keeping only what's needed is actually giving your memory a break. It means that every time you open the cabinet, you're sure to find what you're looking for. Today, open your paper drawer. Pick up each sheet. Ask, is this still valid? Does it affect my current situation? If not, thank it for its service, then let it go, because memory is more precious than paper, and nothing should obscure the clarity you are preserving every day. Principle number 5, do not store old, expired medications. Keeping old medicine can sometimes invite more illness. I used to have a small medicine box on top of the fridge. Every time I felt a headache, backache, or mild cough, I would rummage in there to see if any pills the doctor prescribed way back when were left. Many times I took an old pill without clearly remembering its purpose or when it had expired. I just thought, it's medicine, it's probably still good. Until the day I was hospitalized for a drug reaction, all because of one small, white, unlabeled pill. At that time, I only vaguely remembered. I think it was for joint pain. We older adults often keep medicine like it's insurance. But medicine, if no longer suitable, of unknown origin or expired, is not insurance, but a risk. And for someone whose memory is starting to weaken, misidentifying medication can be a greater hazard than the original illness. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, about 1 in 4 elderly people experience adverse health events from reusing old medications unsuitable for their current condition, including blood pressure drugs, antibiotics, and pain relievers. These pills may have lost effectiveness, chemically altered, or cause dangerous interactions with new medications you are taking. I remember old Mrs. Ann, a friend from the post-stroke rehabilitation center, telling me she was confused for 3 whole days just because she accidentally took an old prescription of her husband's, left mistakenly in a drawer. Just because I couldn't bear to throw it away, she said. But some things are kept not because they are needed, but because of a fear of lacking. And that very fear is what harms us. I have learned to check my medicine box once a month. I discard medicines that are unlabeled, been open too long, or are no longer prescribed by a doctor. I keep the right type, right dose, right expiration. And I clearly label the drug name, its purpose, and the date of starting use. Today, if you have an old medicine box somewhere, please open it. Look closely at each pill. Try to recall, what did I use this for? Is it still appropriate for my current health? If not sure, discard it or take it to a pharmacy and ask a professional. Because preserving memory is not just about remembering events, but also about knowing what to keep and what to let go. Principle number 6, avoid displaying items that evoke negative memories. Every morning it was the same. I'd open my eyes, see the wedding photo, and know for sure the day would start with an unspoken sadness. I used to hang an old wedding photograph right above my bed. Outsiders saw it as a beautiful symbol, but for me, each morning I woke, my unconscious gaze would land on that frame, and my heart would clench. Not because of love, but because of regret. Because the years that followed were not as peaceful as the smiles in the picture. We all have items that tie you to a part of the past, a gift from someone long gone, an unsent letter, a piece of clothing no one wears anymore. We keep them thinking it's a part of memory. But what we don't realize is, some memories, when kept too close, will silently weigh on our hearts and weary our minds. For older adults, especially those experiencing mild memory decline, each time they see a familiar object, it is a trigger for the brain's memory network. If that memory is positive, it is like a gentle, warming light. But if it is a negative memory, abandonment, conflict, separation, then it is like a small flame constantly smoldering within, exhausting the spirit without us even realizing it. A study from Stanford University has shown the living environment directly impacts emotional quality and memory performance in older adults. Items evoking negative memories can increase feelings of loss, self-doubt, and even lead to mild depressive states, making the brain lose interest in remembering or learning new things. I still remember Mrs. Elaine, my elderly friend, who used to display an old wedding dress of her daughter, who had cut off contact for many years. Every time she passed it, she would look at it, then sigh. I wonder how she's doing now. I asked, have you ever thought of putting it away? She said, I can't bear to. But one day after a gentle therapy session, she quietly folded the dress, put it in a box. The following week, I saw her on the porch drinking tea, chatting more, as if her eyes and memory had been relaxed. If in your home there is an item that makes your heart feel heavier rather than lighter when you look at it, try putting it away. No need to discard it, just place it out of sight, give your heart a break. Because when what surrounds us is peaceful, then memory also tends to become gentler and clearer. And finally, principle number 7, keep everything in plain sight, no digging around. I once missed a heart appointment just because I spent 20 minutes looking for keys that I myself had tucked away carefully. Every morning, preparing to go out, I would turn the kitchen and cabinets upside down, my mind racing, all for one tiny item. By the time I found it, I was tired, my hands were shaking, and my heart began to doubt my own memory. We, who've lived past 60, don't lack memory. We're just asking it to work harder than necessary. When important things are hidden, misplaced, or buried in clutter, memory has to strain to find them. Strain it too much, and it gets tired. According to research from Johns Hopkins Brain Science Institute, older adults in visually organized spaces, where everyday items are visible, labeled, and clearly placed, maintain memory function and reflexes 25% better than those who have to grope around daily. I once visited old Mr. Franklin, a man who had been severely confused after a stroke, but entering his home, I saw items with small labels: morning medicine, water glass, keys hang here, phone goes here. Everything in its place, easy to see, no searching needed. He smiled and said to me, I'm not as good at remembering as I used to be, so I make things easier to remember. I have learned from him. Now I place my drinking glass by the filter, keep the doctor's appointment book near the phone, and my coat beside my usual shoes. I am not good at remembering anymore, but I know how to help my memory be less tired. If today you still have to rummage for something, glasses, medicine, the phone book, then that is a clear sign. It is time to reorganize. Let important items appear where you can see them most easily, as if you are helping your future self, tomorrow's self. Because for older adults, it is not remembering much that makes one skilled, but knowing how to live lightly so memory has enough space for what is truly worth keeping. Have you ever thought that removing one item is also a way to retain a part of your memory? Not because that item is important, but because every time you walk into a tidy room, your mind also breathes a sigh of relief. You know exactly where everything is. You don't have to guess or rummage. And most importantly, you're not swept away by a jumble of nameless memories. I know at our age, every item has a story, but memory doesn't need too many stories to live well. It needs space to breathe. It needs clarity to avoid panic. Decluttering isn't about discarding. It is selecting. It is keeping what makes you smile and releasing what makes you hesitate. If you are looking around your home and feeling a bit overwhelmed, start with one drawer, one box, one medicine cabinet, little by little, breath by breath, no rush. Ask yourself, am I keeping this item out of love or out of fear? And if this video resonated with you, please share it with a friend, a loved one, someone also quietly facing memories piling up around them. Because a tidy home doesn't just help you remember longer. It's also a gift of peace for your own mind. Thank you for listening. See you again in the next Gentle Stories.